All right, Korea. Who won the offseason in Korea?
There's
Little
no
King's
debate.
Own Dragon X,
No
SKT,
debate with number one.
or there's KT Roaster. So since SKT won by a milestone, let's try and argue for KT and Kingzone.
Kingzone is looking like Deft,
Pawn, and Tucson. Oh crap.
That is
Score, best jungler in Korea, has been best jungler half of his career. Best top laner, probably next to like the Shy. And then you have like Snowflower
BDD,
and BDD.
I'm gonna say
All this is arguing.
this is not an argument. I think number 2 is pretty solid too. I think number 2 is obviously gonna be KT. I think that in terms of BDD was the best performing mid laner last split for Korea. Score was the best performing jungler of all time for Korea.
Smeb is the arguably best, second best, first best top laner of all time.
Behind him versus Keen, I don't know.
Keen, Shy, Khan.
Wait, why did we say that? Afrika Freaks looks pretty strong too, don't they?
Who's Afrika?
Afrika is gonna be Keen.
UCal.
What was the other team? They had two other. They picked up. Let me see. I forgot. Keen, UCal, and Afrika Freaks did get someone else. I know they got a jungler. Did they get a jungler? They did. They have Spirit still.
Oh, Twinkle and.
We don't know anything about Twinkle, so I'm gonna assume
Twinkle and Spirit.
Spirit is still the. Yeah, Spirit is probably going to be the starter for now.
Spirit Contract expires though.
But the biggest question marks I have is King was the best top laner in Korea last split, but I think Smeb is probably a better player still. I think that
it was
Jungle
aiming. I remember who aiming. That was the person they paired with Kramer with.
I'm not sold on aiming, but I think UCal was one of the better mid laners, so I think that they played extremely well. So I think it's gonna be, if we're gonna debate, I think those three teams are going to be...
KT, yeah. It has to be KT and...
we can't say SKT. Anything about Griffin because they didn't change anything, so I still think they're a top team.
I think it's just between KT and SKT. Then that's really hard. Because KT doesn't have a bot laner.
They don't have an ADC.
They're likely just going to go with a rookie, like they did with UCal.
Snowflower, he's...
Snowflower to Mata.
It's a downgrade.
How do you even argue that?
It's a downgrade. You can't really argue it, but Snowflower is still
slam dunk for SKT.
Yeah, but Snowflower is still an incredible player. I think that it's still
skip to mid.
Yeah, in mid lane, BDD is like just a complete.
BDD has performed recently better than Faker. I don't think it's still a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk for KT, but really, is it? UCal brought you your first split in 5 years.
I think performance-wise, I think BDD has performed better. I think UCal has potential.
It's pretty even between the two.
I think BDD is a better player.
BDD is a KDA player.
Don't say that. That does not exist unless you're just not helping the team.
Okay, that's unless you're bronze 5 and you think he's a KDA player.
But I think that BDD is was the best performing mid laner in Korea. I think that
UCal has more potential.
Yeah, he does. He just came in the league and he looked good.
BDD, what we've seen out of BDD is probably what we probably should have seen out of him.
I don't know.
But that's fine to see that out of him. That means he's great.
The potential that BDD showed, I don't know if UCal can surpass that. I mean, BDD looked incredible. But I think
you have to factor in BDD brought... Okay, people don't know this. Kingzone used to be called Incredible Miracle. That means BDD brought them 2 splits and they've never had wins in a row. And he also brought them to Worlds. But UCal brought KT's first split in 5 years. So
I think that...
If you're talking about just... I'd say it's a slight edge to BDD. UCal did perform better.
UCal performed worse. I think UCal has maybe more potential. Even that is a stretch. I don't know if... I think essentially his potential is going to be what BDD was.
And then you switch to...
We're going to go to jungle, and...
If you're comparing BDD to Faker, if we're just going off last year...
I don't want to, because...
BDD played better. It's not even a question.
I think
diving Kassadin under 2 towers on a late game Tristana.
I think that in terms of who's the better player...
let me throw my team the game.
I think in terms of who's the better player, it's still going to be Faker. Faker was forced into a situation where he was forced to be the carry because none of us...
One could argue if that's the case and he's the best player, he should have been able to execute that.
No team is... I'm going to say no player in existence is able to 1v9.
The problem is, people don't understand, that style could have worked, not in this season. If this is like season 3, that style works perfectly. You can carry the game.
Faker, it was not capable. He was forced into a situation where he...
But how do you argue that, though? He's the best player. He couldn't carry his team to victories like that.
Because UCal had a team around him, and so did BDD.
And
that's
SKT
why
had Ontara.
That's why you can argue that, to be honest.
And SKT also had Blink.
A team around both of those players, and BDD didn't produce results. They didn't even get to Worlds. Faker
BDD got them to MSI and won them a split.
And they didn't get to Worlds. That is. You can say MSI as a result, but they did not
Top 2?
Yeah, I'm saying I think that if in terms of who is the best player in mid, I'm still going to give it to Faker.
It's still Faker, but if you're talking about best performer last year, it goes to BDD.
Well, I'm not. I'm just saying who I think is going to be the best mid.
Oh yeah, really best year. Oh yeah, it's probably Faker.
It's going to be Faker next split.
We saw how Faker performed with Hooney and Pina, and that was a technical super team.
If we go to KT versus in the jungle, KT wins that.
Godly.
I think
God bless Clid and Haru's heart, but they're not going to beat him.
Haru is great, but I think that
Clid. I heard they're going to start Clid first.
I don't know where you heard that. I heard they were going to start Haru. Haru has been dueling with Faker
I heard that they're going to try out Clid in the first game, and then
I don't think there's any
between the games.
Who'd you hear that from?
Just their Instagram and Twitter pages.
Well, I mean, I'd have to see. I'm gonna have to look that up myself because I didn't hear about that. Well, maybe, but I agree. Like, I think that Score is obviously the better player than both of them. Yeah. I think in top lane.
Oh God. That is much more consistent, much more flexible
than Khan.
And doesn't tilt.
I think that KT gets that. I think that bot lane is 100% gonna go.
Khan is tilt proof. Can't play tanks. Overall raw potential. Lane wise, Khan's better.
I don't know about
that.
But
if you factor that into an entire team about not being
even
flexible,
that, I still don't. What's up?
Oh, Khan's still way overextended.
I don't think that he has more potential than Smeb. I think that is a stretch to say. I think that in terms of
mechanics, you can't really argue mechanics to that kind of thing.
Well, I think that in terms of who's going to perform better, I'm going to give it to Smeb. Smeb is played.
I think both are going to perform at an amazing level.
I don't know. Khan did not look great towards the end of the split.
Like I said, Khan can't play tanks. Khan's not flexible. Khan tilts harder.
Khan can play.
Was losing to Shy and still was like, I can still play this game.
But let's go to bot lane, and bot lane is they are the best bot lane in the world. That's gonna be without a doubt. Mata Teddy is gonna be the best bot lane in the world. I can't unless something drastic happens. We can't imagine.
Unless they just literally don't synergize correctly.
I'm gonna be honest. I think they have the two best players in the world on their team right now. Mata and Faker.
The top jungle duo and the bot duo, right?
What?
The top and jungle for KT and bot duo for
bot
SKT.
And mid for KT.
Bot and mid.
Mid is 100%.
No, not solo lanes. Just in terms of duos, because people like
I don't like to give duos. I don't like to do that. I just say.
Well, you have to because KT don't have an ADC at the moment.
It doesn't matter. Regardless of who they get, they're not going to beat out SKT.
Really quickly, maybe they might have gotten one.
Even if they get one, SKT still wins. SKT is not going to lose to anyone.
If you're talking about so let's look back at this year because I know there's a lot of people saying the team didn't synergize correctly. SKTs might not synergize, but let's start just filling in the gaps. Okay. Untara and Thaw compared to Khan.
Why are you laughing?
Is that even a question? How Khan's just
Khan is a better player than both of them.
Okay.
Faker and Pyrian. Faker, I think Faker is probably maybe a down of one.
Maybe he won the offseason.
I think Faker might be the better player out of him and Pyrian.
I think you might be delusional.
Okay, maybe. But I think in terms of jungle, upgrade. Blank
versus Haru and Clid. Oh, more Haru perform better than Blank.
Yeah, they're gonna take both of those players to MSI. To Worlds if they do.
Oh yeah.
So,
if you want to just complete gaps, SKT filled. ADC and support.
ADC.
They filled in every single gap they had.
I don't know
last year.
if Bang was a gap, but I think that it's still an upgrade.
I think in gaps in terms of players that are now better than him.
I think that Bang is probably the worst player out of him and Teddy. I think that Mata is an extremely large upgrade from Effort and Wolf.
Oh, sorry guys, I'm gonna force stop Reddit and then check to see if any news. But yeah, if you go off of just that, if you're going with just gaps alone, SKT filled every single gap that whatever problem last year. I don't think it's that's what we have not seen in all this offseason talk.
What?
We have not seen a team fill in every single gap. They filled in everything. The only gap they didn't fill was flexibility. This team is not flexible.
That's incorrect. Faker's one of the most. Faker's the single most. Faker's the single most flexible.
The other two are only aggressive junglers, and Khan is only on aggressive top laners.
I disagree with this completely. I think that Faker is one of the most flexible players in the world. So is Mata. So is Teddy. Half. So 3 players on their team are extremely flexible. So you're giving.
Teddy I think was that forced to be flexible because of the meta.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think the fact is he showed up. He can play pretty much.
Versatility would be okay.
I don't think
it's going to be a problem.
I think
in their top half.
They have
Haru, Clid, and Khan are going to be a problem with being versatile.
If we're going to go by completely everything, SKT has no issues.
Because that's still half and half, though.
I'm going to say SKT has no issues. They have 0 issues in my mind, and the only thing that could be a problem is going to be
drafting, drafting versatility.
Drafting is not going to be a problem.
They got now Coach SKT. Fly and Coma.
Because
you can have two. Yeah, because Korea now you can have two coaches on stage.
I think that in terms of just everything, I think SKT has no weaknesses. I think that their only weakness is going to be how well they mesh together. That is going to be the only weakness. I think another weakness, maybe Khan is just not going to perform to the standard we want him to.
That's the versatility part. But what if the meta's tanks?
I think he's capable of playing tanks. He's just not as good. I think we're just disregarding the fact that he's not as good on tanks. He's still a player. He's still a good player. He's just like
we've seen a lot of games where it was not a factor that he could do that very well. Because a lot of people say tanks. There are better tank players than other players. You can still play a tank. You just have to play. It's just a completely different style. We've seen people on tanks completely outplay other people.
I think that Khan, if he's on a carry, is one of the best top laners in the world. And if we're talking about him on a tank, he's still a top tier player. He's still a world class player. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue.
KT's flexibility. We haven't seen Snow so far playing forever.
We have. He's been in the TCL. And
have you watched TCL games?
I actually, Supermassive was the only team I watched.
Really? Yeah. You need to link me some games.
Okay, so Zaytnot and Snowflower were completely hard carrying every single game. So I think that Snowflower is extremely great. I think Snowflower is a great player. I think that if we're going to go by who is the best team, I think without a doubt we can't argue against SKT.
You got to argue flexibility, gaps. Okay, so did KT fill in their gaps?
No. They did not.
Technically, they filled in one gap.
I think
veteran experience in the mid lane, UCal and BDD.
I don't think it's much of a veteran. I mean, BDD's pretty new too, to be fair.
You're talking about just pure experience, maybe?
I'm just saying, I think that the mid lane was not a significant upgrade. If any, yeah. I think that bot lane was a downgrade in every aspect. Even if they got, like, Uzi himself, it would still be a downgrade.
Even if they got Prey and Snowflower, it still would be a downgrade.
Yeah, if they got Uzi, it would still be a downgrade, honestly.
It's not a downgrade on Prey's part, it'd be a downgrade on the support's part, which does make it a downgrade toward bot lane.
I think in top lane, they didn't change anything, and I still think Smeb was not a liability. Jungle, they didn't change anything. I think that KT is going to be third or fourth best team.
No changes for Korea so far.
I think that Griffin, it's going to be, the top four teams are going to be Griffin. Oh, Gen G is a big idea, huh? A big problem, too, to be honest.
I forgot Gen G have Peanut, Kuve, and Ruler. Holy crap. Well, we can't compare that either. They need a mid and a bot lane. Some people have said they're going to go with Fly again.
They're going to lose. They're not going to be in the contention.
Fly fit their mold better, though. And he got them what?
SKT, I mean, Korea is in the midst of building a bunch of super teams. I think that even Griffin themselves are going to struggle against these teams.
I think Griffin is going to be more... That's the problem, though. A lot of these other Korean... No discredit to Griffin. They did play against some pretty low-tier Korean teams last year.
I would disagree with that. I think that they faced against KT, who they got smashed by every time, to be fair. But
that's the problem. Experience versus
rookies. Griffin beat Longju.
I'm coming for your neck.
Griffin beat Gen G. They beat everybody but KT last split.
And they almost beat them in the finals too, so...
They did. I'm just going to say I think Griffin is going to succeed well. I think they still have one of the better teams in Korea. But we don't know.
Just pure winning the offseason, SKT won it in every single way. Yeah. They cleared gaps, synergy. That's the problem. The only thing that might not have clear is synergy.
I think
what if the team doesn't synergize well?
I think if we're going to...
second... relegations.
I don't think that's possible with that team. I don't even think it's slightly possible with the team they have.
God, that'd be like, oh my god.
I think that Gen G, it looks good, but they have weaknesses that I don't think they can fill with the remaining players, like the remaining people left.
I can't even argue this. SKT heavily won it. The only way they don't win it is like synergy because we've never seen them play together. But that can be argued with literally every single team though.
Well, let's just forget about SKT now because we've kind of gone over them now. Let's go with KT, and I think that KT is probably going to be the third. They're going to be in the top four. I think it's going to be between Griffin, Longju, and KT for
I think
the
Griffin and SKT might just be the top two teams.
Yeah, I think it's going to be between those three teams for the top.
KT might be a contender for third.
I think they're going to be contender for second place at the least. I think that they can easily contend with Griffin still. I think they improved in a lot of aspects, but the bot lane is going to be a weakness. And even then, it's not going to be a big weakness because they still have Snowflower.
Yeah.
But I think that it's going to be SKT number 1, and then second through fourth is going to be either KT, Longju, and Griffin. I think that Longju is the biggest question mark for me because I think that Death was a good player.
They said SKT signed 2 more trainees Does that count for their backup roster though?
Yeah, they signed a support.
They signed Kiri and LM for jungle and support.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so that doesn't make any. I mean, so they're just practice partners.
Yeah.
Depth said, "I want to make a team where other players want to come."
Depth is going to be good.
What does that mean? Does that mean they had bad synergy on the old KT roster then? The old KT roster?
They obviously have. They discussed it throughout their entire existence of this super team. They said we don't know who's going to shot call, and everybody fought over it. So. In reality, we don't know who's going to be the best team, but
I think that synergy really does play a lot in these Korean teams.
I think it's going to be number 1 is 100% going to have to be SKT. Number 2 is going to have to be number 2 is the question mark because Longzhu
number 2 is somehow going to have to be able to compete with SKT. SKT have a winning lane in every single position. How do you compete against that? So even if they can't be flexible, it doesn't matter because they win in every lane.
Well, no, I just want to forget about SKT for now. I just feel like we've gone over them a bit, and we know they're gonna win unless something drastic happens.
Okay, so
I think
other teams are gonna have to somehow.
It's gonna. You know what? I disregard that. I think Longzhu is not in contention for second place. I think it's gonna be second place is gonna be either KT or.
I think Griffin second.
KT or Griffin
third.
I think it's gonna be KT second and Griffin third, and then fourth is gonna be either Genji or.
I think Genji might be a hard contender for fifth to get into the wild card spot.
Yeah, because fourth and fifth are going to be between KT and Longzhu. I mean, Samsung and not Samsung. Genji and Longzhu, because I feel like both of them have not filled like.
So let's just run it down.
Afrika. Oh wait, we forgot about Afrika.
Oh no, they're not gonna be.
Wait, Afrika has Keen.
Afrika's got Keen.
God, this is like really hard to say, honestly.
Oh, for the new roster. Wait, have they? I mean,
I still think that in terms of, I think that third, fourth, and fifth place are going to be in contention with, Afrika, Longzhu, and
KT, right?
Like I think that KT, yeah, and
we
not KT.
We should just run down who we think are going to be the top five.
What is my top five is going to be SKT.
Okay.
It's going to be second place is going to be KT. Third place is going to be Griffin. Fourth is going to be. I think it might be.
I wanted to say Griffin. Not Griffin.
I think that
Griffin. I wanted
Afrika is going to have too much of a bot lane aiming's not great, and they don't have the support yet.
Afrika is literally just a wild card.
So I think Afrika is going to be fifth or sixth. I think that fourth place is going to be Longzhu.
For Kingzone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to have 5 for Korea because they do.
Yeah, because I think Longzhu is going to be the biggest question because I don't know how well Palm's going to perform, and they still like Longzhu still has a pretty substantial let me see Longzhu
I'm gonna say Kate, SKT, Griffin. With Griffin has more experience now. KT,
those are the 3 teams that have filled in filled in roster positions.
Yeah,
there's not much left besides new people in terms of what these.
I think fifth. You're at a hardcore contender for Kingzone or Genji. But I think Genji's overall players from recency have been a lot better than Kingzone's players.
I think that Kingzone just doesn't have enough of their spots filled in.
Yeah.
They only have a bot lane I think is going to be one of the best bot lanes in Korea. And then they have
I got nothing else for Korea.
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be the best.
Afrika Freak is too much of a wild card team to really base anything off of. They were a wild card when people were predicting them to win and they still lost.
Well, Afrika Freaks kind of throws me off because Keen was the best top laner last split, but then they have UCal. But the problem is they don't have a bot lane. UCal just only function better when he had veterans around him? I think that might be a pretty okay. I mean, Spirit's still a veteran. Spirit is still on the team, so I think the top 3.
And the dude that dies.
Well, no, I think that the top 3. I think that Spirit is still a great player. I think
what if he's not there because his contract expires? So what if they have Twinkle? We don't know anything about this guy.
They already re-signed him, I believe.
Did they?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that the top 3 of Keen, Spirit, and UCal is going to be enough to put them in the contention for playoffs.
Maybe. I'm still going to not have them in my playoffs.
I think I'm going to put them at
Genji, Kingzone, KT.
I'm going to put them at 5th. I'm going to put.
That means you're placing them over Genji.
No, I'm placing them over Kingzone. I think 4th place is going to be Genji, and 5th place is going to be 6th place is going to be Kingzone.
Dragon Axe.
Okay. No. Well, I think we need to. I don't think there's really much to say. I don't think there's any other.
We're not debating on it. Who won the offseason? That's SKT.
SKT.
Who won it better for their other teams though?
I think second place would have to be KT. I think that's still an undeniable thing.
I would say the third team probably is going to it's going to go to Genji.
I think it's going to go to Griffin because they didn't make roster moves, but they kept the roster.
That's the problem we were arguing over last year. The team that didn't make any roster moves were the ones that did better.
I think they've kept their insanely good roster together.
They just have better infrastructure now.
They got bought out by a better organization.
They just have a much better infrastructure. That's why I'm putting them at second. I can't put KT at third or second because trusting them is like being in an abusive relationship. So, not doing that anymore. I've learned my lesson years ago about doing that. So, I'm putting Griffin at second.
That's fair.
Hardcore second.
I don't think they're a hardcore second.
I think KT will be not better than the teams they're going to face, but they'll be better than everybody else.
I think it's...
just by the lane positions.
Okay. Well, that's fair. That's 100% okay to say Griffin, who is the more they've been together for a longer time, is going to work out well. I think that if they make no roster moves this season, I think they're going to be the best team. And that's they're going to be the second best team.
That's pretty much it for the rundown.
Or third best.
I just wrote the rundown. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe.
Did you just smell me?
Most of all, enjoy. Hit the notification bell. Ding. Like the video. Click.
We'll try to kind of get a more generalized direction for our videos. I think we're running in circles a bit too often, but for the most part,
I've been winning.
What? What's up?
I think it's been totally fine, but hey, that's my opinion. We'll have some more NA videos. People want us to talk about TSM. We'll do TSM next. People wanted that, but I have to go to the bathroom really bad, so we have to stop the video.
You gotta go pee pee?
No, I don't. In a girl's mouth.